check this. This is the hard knock life, but not the chicka kind. More like the people in the world seeking perspectives with a different line. The kids who share the interest together with a similar kind. When they said John Glover for Spider-Man, they
Welcome back to another episode of Hard Knock Life with the Nerds of Color. It's your boy Keith Chow, and I got a great episode lined up. Spent the weekend with these two guys and had a lot of stuff to talk about. So I said, why don't you come on my show and we can talk about the project that you're working on, because I think it needs a lot of our support and I think it's dope. My two special guests for this evening, first up is he's a writer, a poet, an actor, a performer, and now a video game magnate. He is the poet known as Beau Sia. You can find him on Twitter at Beau Sia.
Good evening, everybody. Hello.
Sitting next to Beau, you may recognize the cat in the hat. He's also an actor, a performer, a voice actor, best known for roles in Hook and Avatar. It's none other than my man Dante Basco. What's up, Dante?
What's up, y'all? What's up, all you nerds of color out there?
Look at us.
We're innovating, too shy.
Evolution continues, Keith.
So what's the reason I got you guys on the show tonight? What are we talking about? What's the project, the top secret project that you want the world to know about?
Oh my gosh, we want the entire world to know about FailSafe. It's a new video game that I'm writing, that Dante is one of the lead voices, that we're making at Game Over. And we want the entire world to know about this, and then we've got a Kickstarter to raise the finishing funds so we can complete this game. I'm writing it with Anthony Burch, known best for Borderlands 2, and he's voicing it with his sister, Ashley Burch, known for Hey Ash, What You Playing?
What's up, Ash? What's up, Anthony?
Hey! And now the new Rocket Jump show on Hulu, December 2nd. So it's got a great team behind it. We're very excited about this project, and we feel like we've got a game that's really going to work on giving players and gamers an option, and those who don't game an opportunity to get involved with this technology that we as nerds love so much.
Well, I know that the Kickstarter has about a week left to go or so before the funds run out, and I think one of the things, and we need to hit that goal. We're going to do this like a telethon type deal. But one of the things I want to talk about, we can get a little bit into the gameplay. I know it's based on like parkour. It's in this really cool like sci-fi-ish, steampunk-ish looking realm. But one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about is, one, how did you get involved with wanting to even do a video game? And two, the other aspect of this game that I wanted to kind of talk about tonight, being that this is the Nerds of Color, is the number of people of color that are part of the not only the building of the game, but even the characters inside the game and the voice actors. Of course, Dante's sitting right next to you. So how important is that aspect to FailSafe and what you're trying to do with the game?
Yeah, I would say, like, for myself, I got involved with Game Over Studio before we even began making this game, at the conception of this game, because I'm friends with the CEO, Daniel Lisi, and we've been friends for a while because we'd known each other through Right Bloody, in which he was helped managing that publishing house of which I've been published through. And so he worked with me on some of my books. And through that relationship and his love and passion for games and our understanding of the technology and where it's headed, we just decided to, be a part of this company and build this thing together to really create innovative content through this engaging gameplay. And he got me into it because games right now and coding is like poetry in the world of technology. Like, for me, watching these guys program every day in the office, it's like they have to create fucking poetry to make games what they are, And that's how I got involved in the project.
How'd you get roped in, Dante?
Through him. No, me and Beau have been collaborators and co-conspirators on a lot of different fronts artistically. Connection through poetry, connection through the arts, filmmaking and whatnot. So
Asian am shit.
We've been crossing, East Coast, West Coast lines for the last few years. And being that, that your boy is going on to a new venture and a new kind of art space that we're both new in as far as the video game space. He asked me to come on board, voice a character. Of course, I'm with Beau on GP. And but B, he comes with, you know, there's some great people involved in the game, including the Burches, Anthony and Ashley, who I've got to hang out with on Comic-Con tours and love the work that they've done in the past. So it's a really, really, really cool game. But also, like you said, this is Nerds of Color, talking about people of color being involved in conceptualizing the game, writing the game, now voicing the game, and also the lead character is actually a person of color. So that all Hoppa. So that all is very alluring to me as an artist. We do a lot. I do a lot of different things in a lot of different spaces. When we have the ability to be the creatives and to really promote people of color, that's a big deal to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the thing about FailSafe that I find really fascinating is that aspect with you and Ashley being the lead, the two basically the two main characters in the game, from what I've seen and some of the gameplay videos that I've seen, including if you guys that are out here watching and listening to this podcast, make sure you go to Kickstarter.com, look for FailSafe, and pledge all that you can before December 1st. I think that's the cutoff date, right?
Yes, please.
It's the first of the month.
But yeah, going back to the notion of the conceptualization of FailSafe, Beau, you're credited as a co-writer on the game. Can you talk about where the seeds of this particular game and this particular story for this game came from, and how you're involved in that creation?
Yeah, definitely. You know, me and Anthony were tasked at setting to develop the Bible for this game, the culture, the world in which this game takes place, and from that develop the first draft. But even before that, this game was actually going to be a totally different type of game, in a sense that it was much more of a spy thriller game originally. But as the game designers, you know what I've learned in this year is that there's an iteration process. So as they develop and code for gameplay, it occurred more and more that the mechanic they wanted to use didn't really apply as well to that type of game as it did to this explorative type of game. And as the writers, knowing the movement system that they were developing, their IK system, we then set out to create a story and a culture and a world that really matched up with what they wanted to achieve with the parkour and stuff. So me and Anthony basically thought about, you know, humanity and representation and how we survive. And how we survive through the bonds of culture, not the bonds of commerce. How we hand things down, not through what we sell each other, but how we grow with each other, how we are a part of each other's lives. And we reach back into cultures that have a really long history of that, of families building each other and handing down in order to create this village, this world in which Istra, the main character, is from, right? And also, for us, it was important to have a character that didn't only represent, for us, the developers, what we wanted to see in the expansion of games and options for those who want to play games, but that also we as writers knew that in these types of stories, women like Istra are heroes too.
Right.
Women like Istra are not just companions, are not just inspiration, are not just muses, are not just alternative options for heroes. They can actually be the central figure in an important narrative that changes people.
I think that's actually a really important point to make, especially in this kind of, you know, and I hate to use the term, but in this post-Gamergate world that we live in terms of like the gaming, you know, community and things like that, and this notion of diversity and representation for people of color, for women, that what's important, what I find particularly important about the game that you guys are working on is kind of breaking through that and saying, you know, we are here and we're important and we matter, and like all you assholes who think that gaming's for white people and for men need to just back out and make space for us, right? Because that's kind of what I think is really important about not just FailSafe, but this movement towards like indie gaming and people like yourselves and others who have created these games, because, you know, I think the barriers to entry in terms of like creating games nowadays is a lot lower than it used to be, right?
Oh, completely. I mean, what it costs to get an engine access used to be close to $500,000, you know, and now almost anyone can develop their own independent game. You know, that's really going to change the face of games. And I think this idea that, you know, that the face of gaming, the face of gamers is the white male is an assumption based on access in the past. With this new technology being available to more and more people, we're going to find very rapidly that the face of gaming is not the white man, is not the East Asian male, is not the European man, is everyone. Right? We're going to find out that the face of gaming is everywhere, across every gender classification, every orientation. Games are actually, literally, going to one day be for everyone.
Right, and they are. I think it's just so interesting now. You know, you brought up Gamergate and all that goes on. I mean, I came back to gaming recently, and I'm really big in League of Legends. Like, I love League of Legends, and I do that a lot. But the crazy things I find out is, like, you know, nerds are called nerds. Like the Comic-Con world, I have a big fandom in the nerd world, and as nerds, it's like we've been picked on. I'm talking collectively as a group for so many years for so many different things, and then now when you get to a place where you have power, it's very ironic to see that the same people that have been picked on are now picking on other people for different reasons. And it always blows my mind when you're like, someone starts bullying you on League of Legends or even the whole Gamergate thing. Is like, dude, we're nerds. Like, stop. Aren't you sick of high school or college or whatnot being picked on by the jocks and by the, you know what I'm saying? It's we do it now to people of color, people of less skill than you, people, women, you know, that kind of thing. And like Beau said, trying to make concerted efforts through art to just level the playing field, open the mindset a little bit wider.
Completely.
Yeah, it's a weird power dynamic, right? With like, because I think that's an excellent point. Because I think it extends beyond like gamers, right? Like that's the case in a lot of nerd circles. That if you're if you're a noob or if you're you don't know what you're talking about, you totally get descended on by a lot of these like heads that think that they know everything, they know better than you. So it's almost like they were picked on for so long, and now they have power to wield.
Or
wield the hell out of it.
You have affinity for like those people too, like what they may have thought of the people taking on them.
Right.
It's like, you're the same. We're all the same.
Right.
It's like, it's a human dynamic that we kind of are just recycling.
Yeah, I mean, think that they would at least make that connection.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because at the end of the day, we're all nerds, and if we have that link, we should at least come to some sort of a commonality around that. Dante, I want to go back to your character in the game a little bit. Can you talk about? I think your character's name is Robot, and what role your character plays?
I wanted to be XJ.
It's possibly going to be XJ, but right now it's Robot. But it's a good-looking robot. It's a cute little floating robot who helps out our hero on a lot of her tasks. Well, I'll have a lot of, things to kind of unlock how you're going to get through certain levels, I guess, or whatnot. I'm still waiting to see some of the dialogue, but just visually, it's really cool. And so, and I've never played a robot before, so.
Ever?
I think so.
You've never been a robot?
I've never been a robot. I'm a big fan of
You're gonna be
C-3PO and too, and BB-8's cool. BB-8. I'll be a part of that droid world. That's kind of good.
You're gonna be a pretty cool robot. You're actually gonna be very interesting because there's something about you that I'm gonna try in your development as a character that I think is gonna be unique to most robot characters in games.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've already seen him go through some transitions. I think the first robot I saw was like a square, like a rectangle thing, more like a toaster.
More static.
That was gonna like roll around. I was like, all right. But now he's like this more floating, like circular guy. He's like orange. He's kind of cool.
Is that BB-8 influence? Sounds like.
He's got a little BB. I thought a little BB-8 influence, and I'll record that. That's new school. New school.
Well, have you started any of the voice work on it yet, Dante, or is that still?
Yeah, there's still in development. Ash did some basic stuff, story-wise. So as we get into the development, it's like voices always comes in almost not last, but it comes in later in the process.
Yeah, well, because I mean, you're you're famous for a lot of voice work, of course, as Zuko and Avatar. And I guess you haven't, since you haven't done the actual like behind the mic stuff yet. I'll change the question a little bit. It's like, what is the preparation like in preparing for voice work in a video game as opposed to doing an animated series? Because I think one of the things that I would assume is different is that the interactivity of a video game, you have to kind of prepare for a lot of things. So as a voice actor coming into this situation, how are you preparing for that?
All the games I've done a bunch of games in the past, including like Skate 2 and like the Scarface game and a bunch of like military games and things like that. What you got to do preparation wise more than anything is understand like that day or that those days are going to be marathon days. You're going to be doing, sometimes hundreds of sound cues, hundreds of lines.
Right.
And like you said, you're not going to necessarily be doing it with people. So you got to pace yourself, know your voice, not get blown out, be prepared, know when to do the screaming, when you're doing those kind of characters. It's really a strenuous thing, voice acting for video games in particular, because you're doing tons and tons of sound cues in a short period of time.
Like grunting and screaming and stuff like that, right?
And then you rely a lot on the voice director, because many times you don't really understand the context of the game, where you're at in the game, and so you need to really kind of be told what's going on or how to. That's the great thing about voice directors. People go, why are voice directors so important? They're in the room, they're directing like any director would do. But the great ones, like Andrea Romano, for instance, or whatnot, is sewing together performances from people from around. Like sometimes I did a whole season in Toronto shooting a movie, or days when people can't get in. She's feeding you lines and remembering how they said it, so you can kind of match what they're saying.
Right.
There's a lot of mathematics going in there. And, same happens in a situation like the video game, because you don't want it to sound disjointed. We want conversations to sound like conversations. You want fights to sound like, it's a give and receive kind of fight. So
right.
That takes it's a good sound director to really sew those together properly.
I mean, same question to you, Beau, in a way that, coming from the world of poetry, or even just like, writing script for a video game must be a completely different. I know it's interesting that you said that like coding is like poetry, but how is script writing for video games like poetry, if at all?
It's very different. I did screenplay writing at NYU, and even that is very different than this, because working with Anthony, he really taught me so much, especially about the structure and the understanding that in the game, you have to account for gameplay, and you have to account for the player experience when you're writing the script, and you have to account for the pace at which the action is unfolding to determine how much dialogue or environmental storytelling a player could digest at any part of the game, right? So if we're kind of like figuring out the arc of where we want the player to go, a guide of what we want the player to do, we're also trying to figure out how much we can fit in the development of the characters in those sections. So it's like really, it's wild, because you create your fantasy story, and then you have to reinvent your fantasy. And then after you reinvent your fantasy, you have to reinvent your fantasy again. And all of this has to do with people you haven't met yet. Because today, they are going to walk through your fantasy, and they have to experience it the way you intend. And you have to keep reimagining what your fantasy is, what this arc is going to be, this magic you want these characters to eventually end up at, knowing that this person won't see that for a year.
Right. Or if all, right? Because like there are situations, if like there's certain paths that you can go down, and if you don't go down path A and you only go down path C, there are a bunch of things you'll never see that exist in path A, right? Like that's kind of the other thing.
Yeah, because we're not guiding people, so they actually might miss some stuff, because there's a lot of secrets in the game.
Yeah, and there's a lot of secrets that you actually, in the Kickstarter, at certain levels of the Kickstarter, you can get your own little secrets put in there.
That shit is dope. I love that. I also want to donate to that, just because I want to make myself.
Yeah.
So there's like tiers, like there's one where you can pledge 200 and you'll basically have to force me to write whatever you want me to write about. And I turn it into a poem, and it's going to be in a book that's in that game somewhere hidden, right?
There's another level that you can write whatever you want to write. You could write a note to somebody, you go write a note to your girl, your guy, and it's in the game, like from you, that you can go around the game and find it in there.
Yeah, it's like a hidden letter.
Hidden
right?
letters in the game. So that kind of stuff is like really cool, and it's stuff that you can't do outside of the indie game world. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, that's actually a good segue, because I wanted to ask you, like, why did you choose to go the direction of Kickstarter? What was the appeal of doing like a crowdfunding campaign to help you put this game together?
Well, yeah, we'd been already working on the game for a year, and we wanted to do a Kickstarter to do the finishing funds for the game, to complete the game this summer 2016.
Right.
And that's simply because we would like to remain an independent studio, because I believe as an independent studio, we can make the choices about who we want to collaborate with, what their intentions are in collaboration, and we can also write the story how we want and represent who we want, right? And I also feel like we can also be explorative, like with the secrets that we're putting in the game, like this idea of having goals without violence, that we can do these things that are not the highest profit margin in games right now, where if we were not an independent studio, I'm not sure we could make those choices.
No, yeah, totally. And it's the new, I mean, this is the new realm. It's like indie film was, indie games like what indie film was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You're talking about things like Reservoir Dogs and things came out of that nature, where independent filmmakers were funding their own projects, pushing the film industry to new standards, to new kind of storytelling. And I really do believe that indie gaming, where it's at right now, with the onset of Steam and whatnot, that these new gamers and the money they're making and the games they're putting out is really influencing the market, the EAs. And
Right. Well, I love that. I love that analogy of indie gaming is similar to indie filmmaking, because I mean, of course, Dante, you got one of your big starts. Not your big start, but one of the movies I remember seeing of you is the debut from, I don't know how many years ago was that now? It was like 18 years ago now.
Yeah.
And that was one of the pioneering Asian American independent films, and I think that's absolutely right. Like, being independent allows you to tell the types of stories that the major studios aren't going to let you tell, right? And that's kind of the impetus behind that. That's where the creativity lies, right?
Completely.
And they're important stories. I mean, like Sundance was created out of the whole indie scene, and now it's influencing the market in a big way. So, looking forward for that happen. It's already happening in the indie game scene, but it's just gonna happen more in the next few years.
Right. So what's the goal? So I mean, other than of course getting the funds finished to finish the game, that you can have it out by next summer. What's the goal after that? What platforms is the game going to be on? How are you going to manage distribution? What are your plans there as far as how to get FailSafe out there into the world?
Yeah, right on. Right now we're going to be on PC and Mac, and we're already on Steam, and we are currently in console deals with Xbox and PS4, working those out. And we're going to roll that out in the summer. We have our marketing campaign set up for that, and these finishing funds will sort of close out that whole cycle. And then once that game is released, we'll begin working on our second game. So, and our second game is kind of also, it's not going to be a parkour game. I can't really talk about it.
So why'd you bring it up, Beau?
Well, it's one of those things where you wonder, as you're going through this process of a Kickstarter, is the concern that people don't just want to invest in a new project. They want to invest in an idea and a commitment and a passion for that idea.
Right.
They want to invest in someone who's committed to their purpose, right? And I only mention it because we are intentional. We're not doing this just to do a one-off and see if we can just rock out and be stars. Right. We're doing this because we want to keep pushing what it means to expand games, what it means to be more inclusive in games. What does it mean to be more explorative of how you can achieve things in games? We don't want to live in the world of we don't want to live in the Candy Crush world We don't want to just shoot everyone in the face to get to the end.
Right.
And we don't think that that's bad. We just think that there's more. And with the technology now and the people we have working at Game Over, we feel like we can deliver that.
I mean, I think that's another really interesting point about, because, you know, I'll be completely candid. I'm not a gamer whatsoever. I mean, I'm
Keith, what?
Maybe because I'm too passive. I'm not good at games. I mean, I used to be like a sports gamer. I used to play like Madden and NBA 2K all the time. So I'm like, I'm gonna get like trash on the internet for even hosting the show probably. To have to turn in my nerd cred. But
Yeah.
no, but as a non-game, as like a non-hardcore gamer, I'll put it that way. I'm a non-hardcore gamer. I can't just knock out Call of Duty in like 2 days or whatever. Who can really, right? But anyway, what would be the appeal of FailSafe to someone who may not be, who's interested in that, pushing the boundaries of what gaming can be and the storytelling aspect? What would be the appeal of FailSafe to someone like that?
Game regardless. Fun and hard, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that, you know, one of the appeals for me of FailSafe is the ability to physically do what I could not normally do in life, right? Just by virtue of the parkour mechanic they've developed, the free range of movement, the dynamic choices involved. I also think that it would be great as a gamer to play a game where I don't have to live under the constant threat of violence to discover something, to explore something, to have fun, that I can enjoy my way through puzzles and maps without having to worry about how many bullets I have or when someone's going to blast my face off with a rocket, which is all great. I'm just saying that games right now have a great opportunity for more, and we want to add another slice of more. And we also have a game in which you have a story between two characters developing a relationship. We believe games right now are heading into a space where there's so much new room for expansive narratives of depth. We want that, right? Shit, I had a student look at the trailer and she just said to me like, oh, that's why I never got good at games. Because when my brothers played games, there was no character for me to play.
Yeah.
Basic. Just on some basic 8-year-old shit.
Yeah.
Just feeling like, oh, that means I can play it. We want to add another group of people that's like, yes, I can play a game. I am allowed. I have permission. There's so many people looking for a way in.
No, that's deep, because I mean, maybe that was always my barrier, because I did feel like there was always, you know, I mean, there had to be a certain kind of like, I mean, I wouldn't, not even just hand-eye coordinate, but like dedication that I just didn't have to like just playing a game and getting through, you know, a level. And you know, I'm still like on Arkham Asylum, dude. Like I am not I'm not good at video games, and it's no fault but my own, but I'm really super excited about this particular game, especially I think the idea of like, I like the idea that it's not violent. Not that there's anything wrong with violence in a game, but just it's such a new concept that you're basically just running around this fantasy world exploring it. And it's about the characters, and it's more of a storytelling thing, because you know that's everyone says that video games is the next, you know, it's storytelling. It already outgrosses like movies and television, right? It's like it's the next, it's the future of storytelling, and I think you guys are kind of at the avant-garde there, right?
But also the gameplay is gonna be fun too. I mean, the splices of the game that I've played, which are really cool. The movement's really cool. The parkour in itself is a super cool and a new school idea of kids and adults running around, jumping off walls.
Yeah,
to be able to do in the game, and they actually kind of work in this new kind of thing, which is like, I'm not sure, is it a whip? What is that?
We're gonna call it the snake.
It's like a snake, dude. It's like this mechanical whip thing where you can kind of grab things and swing, and still using gravity and all this other stuff to stay in momentum and whatnot. So it's kind of like one of those games also, aside from all the political minded stuff, it's just a fun game to see if you can get through certain levels and how to, and the way that with the robot helping you out how to get through the puzzle, how to get through certain parts of the game.
Yo, I love the parkour. I mean, in fact, I want to actually maybe Beau, you can talk a little bit more about like where like the seed of the making a parkour game came from, because I don't know why more games don't take advantage of that, because I think that in and of itself is like the key selling point. Like you can, you know, seeing people do parkour is already amazing, and the fact that you can kind of experience that virtually through this video game, I think is also pretty dope.
Oh my God. I mean, it's crazy to be leaping through the sky and hopping off of walls at crazy angles, feeling like all your favorite Jackie Chan movies, and having that sense that you made choice and that you weren't on some rails, right? But I would say that the parkour came from our sense of these people, this culture, and our desire to have the human character really reflect this type of movement so that it would be a great complement and contrast to what we wanted the robot character to do, right? We've yet to unveil how we involve the robot, but it's based on a reaction and response to what we have in the human, right? So later when you guys see these other parts of the game as we develop, then you'll know why the movement had to be that way for Istra, the main character. But
I'll see also.
Yeah, and you'll learn this. You'll get the first NDA draft.
Exactly.
The first NDA drafts will be yours. And then as far as the world and the culture, the things that they have to do to survive in this environment are the reason why they move this way, right? So everything is based on a reason of environment and culture and history, right? Their choices, who they are as people, led them to this as their means of being in this world.
Mm. I mean, Isra sounds like such a fascinating character. Can you talk a little bit about how Ashley Burch got involved in the game and just the Burch's involvement in general?
Oh, right on. Yeah, well, obviously we'd been fans of their stuff. Daniel had been telling me about them for a while, and we had become friends through mutual friends and just had been talking so much about games and about things like, especially during Gamergate, and about sort of the climate and the landscape of gaming and how we were at this cusp, right? And you know, at some point as we were developing this game, we considered who were the strongest people in our world to execute this, but then also who could best fit these characters. And we have Istra, right? She's a young girl. She's given this role that she doesn't know yet if she can handle, but she has this unique spirit that allows her to explore and do things that most people wouldn't believe possible for her. That's kind of a perfect fit for Ashley Burch. It's really like Ashley Burch, this person who at times you may misinterpret as this young, small, cute girl, and you won't see that unique power within her that allows her to achieve and explore and expand beyond where you thought she could go, right?
Right.
And because Istra is a woman of color, because Istra is a Thai name, because Ashley Burch is Hapa, you know, because we want it to match and align in as many ways as we can, we're doing that. I mean, recently, to even stack that shit up, and I haven't even said this to anyone, I could get in trouble, fuck it. I had this conversation with Anthony. He reminded me that we have to even hire Ashley to help us ensure that Istra is well executed as a character. Like me and Anthony writing her is not enough, regardless our sensitivity or our desire as allies to really participate and get forward. So we're going to try to find money in this budget to get Ashley to consult and ensure that this character is legit.
Makes sense.
You know?
Makes sense for sure.
And this is why everyone who's watching this right now or listening to this podcast right now needs to go to Kickstarter.com, find FailSafe, and donate what you can so that we can make sure that they do get the finishing funds to make that goal and to make sure that this game can be all that it can be. Dante, were you always, when you found out about the project, did you go to Beau and it's like, find me a way in, or did he come to you to get you involved? It's like, hey, I got a role that you can do for this game. Like, how did you get like roped in? And once you heard about the game, like how serious were you about like being a part of it?
Now, he came to me and we discussed this game idea and me coming in to voice a character. The great thing that's happening right now with indie games with certain artists like myself and Ashley, the Burches, is like, you know, we work a lot for big companies, and it's great to work with big companies, and it's great to work with, you know, just bigger franchise names and whatnot. And it's good to pay bills. It's awesome to pay bills. But it's also great to get to a place in your career where you're of help to your friends and you support ideas of like-minded artists and folks. And you can get involved in games with a real passion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not that you're not passionate about doing something for Nickelodeon or doing something for Disney. They're great. They're great stuff. There are names that we grew up with and that really mean something in our lives. But it's also great to know as artists, we can be supportive and we can really have power, for lack of a better word, to help support our friends, ourselves, and be a part of the system and not just guns for hire in the system.
Right.
It's just important for me to be a part of that for myself and for my friends, and because of not just my friends, but the ideas are the same ideas.
I mean, let's be real. He's dope. He's amazing. Obviously, I chose him because of the way I want this character to grow into this other thing, and you'll see that. That's why I chose Dante. But the other reason why I chose Dante is that he's just down from Jump Street, right? So, and there's something about that I'm only learning now in this later age of my life, that I've come to this point in my career, in my life, that, you know, he's down, right? And so that's why, you know, I'm directing his play Midnight Makeout Session this December, because I'm down. Because we want to see those that we feel are making a positive impact in the world have an opportunity to make an even greater positive impact in the world. Right? That's why we do We Own the Eighth. We just want to keep stacking that shit up.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you know, one of the things I wanted to talk about was in this, you know, context of supporting one another and helping the next generation, helping people tell their own stories. Do you have this project that you guys do in Los Angeles called We Own the Eighth? And for people who may not be in LA or people who may not have heard of that particular project, can you talk about what We Own the Eighth means and why it's important for the both of you to be a part of? Definitely.
You can, of course, follow the hashtag We Own the Eighth with the number 8, or go to the website We Own the Eighth to get more information. But it's this arts collective, really. It's LA, starting downtown LA, Asian American arts collective that me and Beau helped find founders of. We didn't even mean to. You know, we basically came together. I called a meeting with AJ Raphael, with Carl Choi from The Great Company, Ray from The Great Company, and then we called this meeting, and about a dozen or so Asian American creators from the traditional media world, like Quan Fung, like VPs from like networks or executive producers from TV shows, directors, writers, and traditional, and then about a dozen or so YouTubers came, like AJ and Kev Jumba and Tim Delgado and Wong Fu Productions and JK Films and Fung Brothers, and we just had this conversation. The first question I think we asked was, why are we the most affluent ethnic community in America, yet the least represented in mainstream media? And through these conversations, we started meeting every month, a collection of us, and we kept talking about the issues. And over the last 2 years, it's formed into a whole idea of us co-opting the 8th of the month to promote Asian media in America, to have our own day, the 8th of the month. That's why it's called We Own the 8th. And it became a situation where we meet as a group. Now over like 100 people a month come to The Great Company in LA, and we do everything from doing live open forum town speaks, where we talk about the issues of what Asians face in media or anything. And then also workshops, like social media workshops. We did a stage combat or film combat workshop. Screen fighting
with Yoshi Sudarso,
the Blue Ranger. That was awesome. And then we've done we do live shows promoting all the artists that come to the 8th that are musicians, comics, writers, actors, doing live performance, poetry, and then also had some of the greatest cats in town come and do keynote speaking for the group. Randall Park, the executive producer of the Lego Movie, a lot of the YouTube kids. Tim Delgado did a speech. AJ Raphael did a keynote. So it's about mentoring and leadership in that way, and also it's about collaborating and kind of getting the word out for the new generation of Asian American creatives to go, there is no competition. It is time for us to collaborate and support each other. And if we can own one day a month, that's our month to promote for ourselves, promote for each other, you win, I win kind of thing. And it's about that time we're about to start seeing it in other cities around the country.
Mm.
It's quite an adventure in LA.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, you know, I'm an old guy, Keith, you know that. And so many of us.
We became the veterans somehow.
Yeah.
We were like, long ago.
We were children once. But, you know, so much of the old guys, sometimes they don't know they're in a 90s mentality where we all got to fight for one piece of the pie because only one allowed through the door. But we realized together out here in LA 2 years ago, building with AJ, that there is no competition now because it's 2015, 2013 when we started. And the fact of the matter is we can help everybody have their own pie. We can help everybody have their own pie. So that's what we do. We just try to do it in the most fun, loose, disorganized way we can.
Totally. And a lot of the collaboration of FailSafe came out of that We on the 8th energy.
Oh my gosh. Yes, definitely. All of that, we blend it all together at this
It's all connected.
Totally.
Pretty much.
Totally.
Yeah.
Keith's getting involved.
Hey, if people who are maybe in LA or maybe in these cities that Beau and Dante is going to be having chapters in going forward, how do they get involved? Just follow the hashtag, look up the website. Are there any other ways that people can get involved?
Totally. So basically, we have a Facebook and we have a website where you can join our newsletter. So if you go to weowntheeighth.com, you can join our newsletter. We send out a monthly newsletter letting you know what's popping with us over here or what's going on around the world, especially with Asian American media and film and TV, right? And we also have a Facebook page that keeps people more aware of our activities, especially the Great Mic. So if you're in LA, every Wednesday we have an open mic called the Great Mic where we help develop our voices and the future of the folks out here trying to share their work through their art.
And because it's an open source idea, even if you're not in LA and you're an Asian American creative, you want to be part of the movement, just make your YouTube videos, make your short films, anything. When you post them online, either post them on the 8th or hashtag them We on the 8th so we can promote for you on the 8th. You can promote for us and we can keep spreading the word the 8th of every month about all the brand new.
That's a great idea.
All the brand new stuff.
Yeah, if you make stuff and hashtag us at We Own the 8th,
we're gonna find
we'll repost all that stuff for you.
Exactly.
Right? And that way our folks will know about it. And those of us who follow We Own the 8th, like me and Dante, will also have the opportunity to retweet, repost what you guys make.
And we just have this conversation through art.
Exactly.
Nice. If you say you live in like Omaha or something like that and you're an Asian American kid, you can still be part of this kind of like nationwide voice.
Go through
oh my gosh,
Illinois.
Urbana-Champaign.
Shout out to the dudes.
Y'all out there in Urbana-Champaign, we love that video. We love that y'all wrote us. We're gonna write y'all soon. You know, they were dope.
Yeah, so it's people creating. It's about
Jarvis.
having this conversation through art, through YouTube and the internet, and through filmmaking or music, and just continue going. We own the 8th. Let's have a day. Let's put our art out there. Let's all of us search the 8th of the month for the brand new stuff coming out, or come to our page that we're going to be posting out all the brand new videos that come out every month. Like, first and foremost, please help us fund, and please support the FailSafe Kickstarter. Every dollar counts. There are some great stuff on every level of the game, but even if you can only afford $1, $5, every dollar counts. It's really important to help us fulfill what we need for Kickstarter and help us make this game.
And let the world know about it.
Exactly.
Spread the word about FailSafe.
Totally.
We believe that if we let enough people know, they will find this game and it will get funded.
Yeah, even if you can't spare $1 right now, if you just retweet it on your Twitters, on your Facebook, we'll take that, and we appreciate that. Beyond that, go follow We on the 8th. Go to @We on the 8th on Twitter. Go to weonthe8th.com. Be a part of the conversation, not just by watching and supporting, but also if you're an artist out there, by creating art and posting on the 8th and supporting us. We're supporting you. And then if you're in LA in December, come check out my new play, Midnight Makeout Session, that I'm in and I wrote, and it's directed by the one and only Beau Sia. So you can go.
It's fun and dope, and it's on December 3rd and December 10th. 4 shows only. Get tickets before they sell out. Where?
MidnightMakeoutSession.com.
MidnightMakeoutSession.com.
Big shout out to Dante Basco and Beau Sia. Like, they just gave you all the URLs to follow and all the Twitter handles to follow. Find them. Back FailSafe. Thank you for watching Hard N.O.C Life on the Nerds of Color. and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Keith.
Well, it's the NOC in full color, you see me? The Hard Knock life, comics, movies, and TV, yeah. Pop culture with a different perspective. Watch it on your screen, hit play, so check this. This is the Hard Knock life, but not the chica kind. More like the people in the world seeking perspectives with a different line. The kids who share the interest together with a similar kind. When they said Don Glover for Spider-Man, they didn't mind. The activists, directors, comments, and the lectures. Fanboys, professional artists, and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC.